My name's David Smith, and I've been in long-term recovery since 1998. I'm definitely an alcoholic and an addict. So whatever you had worked for me. I heard a guy speak in a meeting once, and he said that he crushed his sister's birth control up and snorted it because he thought he might get high off it, and I was like, I could identify with that. I didn't do that, but that would be something I would do. At one time, I was a full-blown alcoholic. And I hated addicts, and what I would do is I would look at that junkie, I look at that person. And then I morphed over to, more shooting heroin and smoking cocaine. And I'm like, well, look at that drunk. Well, when I first came into, I really didn't think I was an alcoholic. My sponsor said to me, the lie to self is most destructive, and I'll constantly tell my lies. And he goes, there's a progression. He says, we tell ourselves a lie, then we believe the lie, and then the lie becomes the truth. I was buying 4 bags of heroin, and I got arrested, and I got put in the county jail. And I'll never forget that day. Let me give you a little brief on my history of life. So I went through a very abusive childhood, with a lot of extreme physical, mental, and sexual abuse. And it was constantly on a daily basis. My mom pretty basically gave me to this guy to live with him, and he was the one who was abusing me. Years ago, it was easy to just go to the liquor store and somebody would run in and buy you a bottle if you wanted it. And I bought a pint of gin, and I went home, I chugged that whole pint of gin down. I could still taste it today. I felt like I ate a Christmas tree, and I got drunk right away. I passed out, I peed myself, I puked all over the place. And I woke up the next morning and I said, that's how I want to feel the rest of my life. And I continued to do that. And I got married when I was 17, and I joined the service, and I went in the Navy, and my alcoholism just progressed as I went overseas and I traveled the world. My first daughter was born with some birth defects. It tore the marriage apart. I was away, I couldn't be there. My alcoholism just exploded. And it got to the point where, alcohol and drugs just became a priority. I got arrested a few times, got out, got arrested, got out. Then finally in 1985, I got arrested by the US Marshals, and I went to federal prison. And I was in there for 4 years. I'm a big advocate of the 12-step recovery program. Later on, when I started working the steps and started talking about unmanageability and how my life was unmanageable, the biggest thing that clicked to me was when I got out of federal prison, I said, I can't drink. So I got a job, and it's amazing things that happen. You work, at the end of the week, you get this paycheck, and if you're not spending on alcohol and drugs, you start saving money. And then I started seeing this girl, and my thought process is, you know what? Maybe I could just have 1 or 2 drinks. I went out and I was just gonna have a couple of drinks and go home, and I couldn't stop. Once I put the alcohol in me, I just couldn't stop. And then I just got back into drinking, and then I got back into drugs again, and got arrested again, and just the same old cycle. So finally in 1998, when I got arrested that time, and I was in the Cumberland County Jail, and then my probation officer came in, and he said, prison doesn't scare you, does it? And I said, no, it doesn't. I've been there. I'll just go do a couple of years and I'll get out. And he said, you ever think about rehab? And I said, well, let's try the rehab thing, which at the time I was kind of tired of the life I was living anyways. I wanted a different life. And so I waited around, and there was a bed space that opened up at the Hope House in Bangor. And it was a 28-day program, and I went up there. I really had to learn some of those basic skills, like get up in the morning and eat breakfast and do something during the day and be productive, and then maybe eat dinner and kind of go to sleep at night. And 28 days wasn't enough to do it. There was a bed space that opened up at a 9-month treatment center in Bangor called Wellspring. So I went there, and I was there probably about 3 months. And the recovery stuff started kind of kicking into me. When I left the 9-month program, I went to a 2-year program, which was kind of, today they have sober houses. They didn't really have those 20 years ago as fluently. So it was 3 people who lived in a 3-bedroom apartment. So I went there and decided to go to college. And I don't know why I picked culinary school, but I went to culinary school and did great. I graduated, top of my class. I graduated at 3.87. And I went to work at a restaurant. And within a couple of years, I was working at a brand new restaurant they were building. I was there for 10 years. And one of the things that happened to me is, I was on the beat. I was working very heavy in the 12-step fellowship. I was sponsoring a lot of people. I was working and things were getting busy. I actually competed in some cooking competitions. I won some awards, and I used to go on TV. My work became a priority. It basically became God. And I pushed everything out to side. I don't have time for meetings. I gotta, progress in my career. I gotta do all this stuff. And it didn't take too long. I was going to the gym and I was working out and I hurt my back. I did fine until I took the pills. So I went on pain medication, and, this was after 7 years, and I just started going right back down the road I was at. And it lasted for almost a year. And then one night, it just really exploded. I got in a fight with my wife. I said, I might as well just go drink. I want to drink too. I'm abusing this medication. And so I flushed the rest of the pills down the toilet, and I detoxed myself on my living room floor. And it took me about 5 days. I learned a lot of things from that point. And some of the major things that I learned is, one, I have to be involved in the fellowship all the time. So I need to have a home group. And the other thing I learned, I have to make my recovery a priority over everything else. I may not make a meeting here or there, but for me today, I believe, I'm coming up on 15 years because that's when my relapse had happened. We moved down, my house sold up there. I bought a house down here. My job has worked very well. They've had 2 layoffs through COVID. I survived both of them, and I've changed my territory around. It's growing, so I'm doing great at work. And I often say that it isn't me, it's by working God in my life is how all of this is working. So today, I don't want to give up what I have, and what do I have today? I got a great relationship with a great wife. We've been married. We're going to be married 20 years this September. Before that, I was never with somebody more than 2 or 3 years before they got sick of me. I got 12 grandkids, and I got a relationship with all of them. I got a great relationship with my son today. And I say that often, that my goal is that tomorrow I want to be a better person than I am today. And the only thing that's going to keep me there is by continuing to be an active member in a 12-step fellowship, continuing to, work with other people, work with other alcoholics, work with other addicts, and watch the spark grow in their eyes when they get to be that person that says, I don't want to do it more than I want to.